What if the most heroic act of Gregory Peck's life never happened on a movie set, but in a sterile hospital hallway, where a dying man was being left to rot by the very industry he spent 50 years building? Gregory Peck was known as Hollywood's moral compass, but for decades he hid a secret about his co-star Richard Jaeckel that could have changed both their careers. While the world saw a legendary movie star, one man saw a secret savior who stepped in when the rest of the industry had turned its back. Behind the glitz of red carpets and Oscar statuettes lies a ruthless system that discards its players the moment they stop producing profit. In 1996, one of Hollywood's most beloved character actors was staring directly into that abyss, completely forgotten by the studio executives who had made millions off his face. But why did Gregory Peck keep his rescue mission a total secret? The story begins decades earlier in 1950, on the dusty, monochrome set of the classic Western, The Gunfighter. Gregory Peck was the undisputed lead, playing the tortured, aging gunslinger Jimmy Ringo. Richard Jaeckel was a young, baby-faced actor cast as Eddie, a hot-headed kid looking to make a name for himself by challenging the legendary killer. In the very first scene of the movie, Jaeckel's character pushes Peck too far. A single gunshot rings out and Eddie collapses to the floor, dead. It was one of the shortest roles of Jaeckel's career, but it forged an unspoken bond between the two men that would quietly simmer beneath the surface of Hollywood for nearly half a century. While Peck went on to become an international icon, winning an Academy Award for To Kill a Mockingbird and embodying the soul of American honor, Jaeckel carved out a different path. He became the ultimate blue-collar actor, appearing in masterpieces like The Dirty Dozen and earning an Oscar nomination of his own for sometimes A Great Notion. He was the kind of actor whose face you knew instantly, even if you couldn't quite recall his name. But in the ruthless economy of the entertainment industry, character actors don't get safety nets. Ask yourself, if you spent 50 years giving your soul to your craft, wouldn't you expect the community you built to have your back when tragedy struck? By the mid-1990s, the brutal reality of Hollywood's dark side caught up with Richard Jaeckel in the most devastating way imaginable. The roles had dried up, the phone stopped ringing, and then came the diagnosis that changed everything. Jaeckel was diagnosed with aggressive terminal cancer. At the exact same time, his wife Antoinette was battling the cruel, agonizing progression of Alzheimer's disease. The financial burden of dual medical crises was astronomical. Within months, the couple's life savings were completely obliterated. Their beautiful home in Brentwood, a symbol of Jaeckel's decades of hard work, was foreclosed upon. They were over $1 million in debt. They were essentially homeless, bankrupt, and physically deteriorating with no place left to turn. This is where the story takes a dark, chilling turn. Jaeckel's desperate family did what any loyal Hollywood family would do. They applied for him to be admitted to the Woodland Hills Motion Picture and Television Country House, a private retirement and care facility specifically designed to support aging, destitute industry veterans. It was supposed to be a sanctuary funded by Hollywood, for Hollywood. But instead of open arms, the family was met with cold, bureaucratic stone walls. They were told there was no room. The waiting lists were endless. The paperwork was tied up in red tape. As Jaeckel lay dying, agonizingly close to the very facility built to protect him, the system shut its doors. He was being left to die on the streets, rejected by the very town he had served for 6 decades. What would you do if the industry you built slammed its doors on your dying breath? Tell me in the comments right now, is Hollywood's treatment of its veterans a systemic failure or just the cold reality of business? As Richard Jaeckel's health plummeted, his family's hope completely withered. That is, until a quiet, powerful force entered the equation. Word of Jaeckel's desperate, tragic situation reached Gregory Peck. By 1996, Peck was an elder statesman of the industry, a towering figure of immense respect. He could have easily ignored the news. After all, he and Jaeckel had only shared a few brief scenes together 46 years prior. They weren't daily companions or close drinking buddies. But Peck possessed a rare, old-school moral compass that extended far beyond the characters he portrayed on screen. When he heard that the man he had figuratively shot down in the Gunfighter was now being literally discarded by Hollywood, Peck felt a deep, personal outrage. He decided to act. But he didn't do it by releasing a press statement, hosting a star-studded charity gala, or calling a camera crew to document his philanthropy. No, Peck chose absolute, impenetrable secrecy. He knew that public charity often carries the sting of pity, and he wanted to preserve Richard Jaeckel's dignity at all costs. What followed next was a masterclass in quiet, high-stakes leverage that would forever change the final chapter of Jaeckel's life. But how does a single actor bypass a multi-million-dollar facility's strict waitlists and legal blockades in less than 72 hours? The answer lies in a secret power play that Peck executed behind closed doors. Peck didn't just write a check to cover a few medical bills. He understood that Jaeckel required intensive, long-term specialized care that only the motion picture country house could provide. Knowing that the facility's administrative board was hiding behind bureaucratic excuses, Peck bypassed the lower-level administrators entirely. He used his immense stature, his historical contributions to the Motion Picture and Television Fund, and his personal relationships with the highest-ranking executives in Hollywood to apply immense, undeniable pressure. He essentially made it clear that if Richard Jaeckel was not given a bed immediately, there would be severe public accountability. The board, realizing they were dealing with the moral titan of Hollywood, folded instantly. Within a staggering 3 days of Gregory Peck's quiet intervention, the bureaucratic red tape evaporated. Richard Jaeckel, who had been facing the terrifying prospect of dying homeless and in pain, was officially admitted into the Woodland Hills facility. But the mystery deepens. If Peck had the power to move mountains with a single phone call, why did he go to such extreme lengths to ensure no one ever found out? What was he trying to hide? To understand Peck's insistence on secrecy, you have to understand the toxic environment of 1990s Hollywood. It was an era of intense tabloid scrutiny, where a star's private life was constantly harvested for cheap headlines. Had the public learned about Jaeckel's extreme poverty and terminal illness, it would have triggered a public relations nightmare for the industry. But more importantly, it would have stripped Jaeckel of his pride. Jaeckel was a proud, tough veteran who had spent his life playing strong, independent men. He didn't want to be seen as a charity case. Peck understood this deeply. By keeping his intervention completely anonymous, Peck ensured that Jaeckel could enter the facility not as a beggar receiving a handout, but as an honored veteran of the screen who had earned his place of rest. For the final year of his life, Richard Jaeckel received the highest level of medical care and comfort. His wife's care was managed, his pain was eased, and he was surrounded by the dignity he so richly deserved. When Jaeckel finally passed away in June of 1997, he died in peace, protected from the cold machinery of the town that had nearly abandoned him. This raises a haunting question that still echoes through the corridors of modern Hollywood. How many other legendary artists have slipped through the cracks because they didn't have a Gregory Peck watching over them? The secret of Gregory Peck's heroic intervention only began to trickle out years after both men had passed away. It didn't come from a grand announcement, but from quiet, grateful recollections by family members and close friends who knew the truth. It serves as a stark reminder of what true integrity looks like when the cameras are off and there are no awards left to win. Gregory Peck didn't just play heroes. He chose to be one when it mattered most, proving that a person's real character is defined by what they do when no one is watching. If this story changed the way you look at the legends of the Golden Age, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the hidden, untold history of Hollywood. If you want to uncover more secrets behind the silver screen, click on the video on your screen right now to explore another forgotten chapter of cinema history. Whose side would you have been on if you were in Peck's shoes? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.